Alone for 30 minutes, she discovered the incredible love story that revealed her hidden strength. The storm raged outside, raindrops hammering against the windows like an urgent plea. Inside the diner, Jenna wiped down tables that had long emptied, the shift dragging on with the echoes of laughter and clinking silverware fading. The beautiful blue eyes of her 8-year-old daughter, Lily, flickered in her mind, reminding her of the dreams she held, the life she wanted to create for them both. As the clock ticked and the storm howled, she felt the weight of their world. She was alone and felt the sharp pang of solitude tighten around her chest. But then, a curious glint caught her eye, a dusty photo album tucked away in the corner booth like a forgotten treasure. Jenna's heart raced as she opened it, and what unfolded was not just a collection of images but a captivating love story captured in faded black and white. Each photograph revealed the tender moments between a veteran and his wife's, silly photos at fairs, soft smiles exchanged over coffee, and the kind of warmth that radiated through the years. She could almost hear their laughter, a melody that resonated in her lonely heart. Flipping through the pages, Jenna felt a profound connection to the couple. Their unwavering dedication amid life's struggles tugged at something deep inside her. Memories flooded back, the nights spent balancing her workload, Lily's innocent questions, and the whispers from those who judged her for not conforming to their traditional expectations. The lives within the album reflected a sense of resilience that inspired her. Instead of sinking into despair, she felt a flicker of hope igniting within. Can love survive the tough moments, she wondered, glancing out at the pouring rain. Can I find a way? Leaning back, she imagined their love rekindled her own hidden strength. Could she make a life for Lily that mirrored those joyful, flushed faces? Just as she began to breathe in this possibility, despair crashed like a wave. The diner, the heart of the community, faced closure. The thought of losing this refuge where bonds were forged and stories shared shattered her hope. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jenna stood frozen for a moment, the weight of the world crashing down. Yet, amid the chaos, a fire blazed within her. Inspired by the love she had seen, she couldn't let the diner and the dreams of her community slip away quietly. Gathering her breath, she made the decision to reach out to her neighbors, to unite in a fight for this cherished place. As she shared stories, laughter, and their collective dreams, something began to blossom, a sense of unity powered by resilience and hope. But just when plans solidified, a shadow from her past loomed on the horizon. A revelation awaited, one that held the power to shift everything Jenna believed. Would her past haunt her, or could it be the strength she needed to move forward? The rain continued to fall, a steady rhythm that matched the hammering of Jenna's heart. She looked around the diner, now awash in shadows, the fluorescent lights flickering sporadically overhead. With determination surging, she took a deep breath. This diner had been her sanctuary, a place that held the essence of small-town life, the laughter of friends, the warmth of shared stories, and memories layered thick enough to bear the weight of loss and hope alike. Okay, I can do this, she whispered to herself, marching toward the old counter. Her thoughts darted back to Lily. What kind of world she wanted for her daughter drove her forward, igniting an indomitable spirit within. There was more to fight for than just a diner. It was the heart of their home, a canvas on which they could paint their future. If she could rally her neighbors, maybe they could find a way to save it. A plan began to form in her mind. Community meetings, fundraisers, even a little bake sale. She would enlist everyone she could think of. Smiling, she grabbed a stack of napkins and hastily scribbled her ideas. A local Facebook group, the diner had so many patrons. Surely, there were enough people who loved this place to help. Jenna. A familiar voice pulled her from her thoughts. It was Mrs. Thompson, the diner's most loyal customer, her silver hair glistening even in the dim light. What's got you so focused, dear? Jenna looked up, her heart swelling. Mrs. Thompson had been coming to the diner since Jenna was a kid, a sprightly woman with a heart as big as her laugh. This was her chance to share that fire burning within her. "I'm trying to find a way to save the diner," Jenna admitted, her voice steady despite the pang of anxiety underneath. "I thought if we could gather everyone and have a meeting, maybe we could come up with some ideas. Count me in." Mrs. Thompson's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "You know I don't let this place go under without a fight. Let us organize a bake sale. I can whip up my famous blueberry pies." Motivated by Mrs. Thompson's support, Jenna reached out to others. She gathered a small group of regulars, each bringing unique skills and passions. Among them was Tom, a retired mechanic, who suggested a car wash to raise funds, and Maria, whose cupcakes could tempt the most discerning sweet tooth. Together, they plotted, laughed, and brainstormed new ideas, each moment weaving a tapestry of connection that reaffirmed the community's bond in the face of uncertainty. Jenna felt alive. With every shared idea, she could almost feel the storm inside her fading, replaced by a gathering strength. But then, as the meeting wrapped, a voice broke in, heavy and menacing. "Are you really going to fight for this dump?" It was Max, an old schoolmate who found success but always walked with a chip on his shoulder. "This place is going to close, and you're wasting your time." Freeze. Jenna's heart sank for a moment. Was his unyielding negativity a shadow of the past returning to bar her path? Ridicule had often left her feeling like a child again, small and invisible. Yet, a wave of defiance washed over her. "This isn't just a diner, Max. It's our home. Sometimes, the things that matter most are what we have to fight for," she retorted, her voice steady, challenging. Max shrugged, unimpressed, but Jenna wouldn't allow him to dim her newfound light. She could sense the sheer strength emanating from her companions, their faces filled with determination, just as the veterans in the photo album had been. This was a chance to rewrite not only the future of the diner but of herself. As they parted ways, Jenna felt the droplets of rain shift to a gentle mist. The horizon promised change, and with each step she took toward her car, a vision flickered to life. Perhaps her past didn't have to haunt her, it could guide her, reminding her of the fierceness within. But what she didn't expect as she drove home was a message that would turn everything upside down. A name she hadn't spoken in years flickered on her phone screen, an invitation to remember or to confront. Her breath caught in her throat. What did it mean? Jenna's heart raced as she thought about the choices ahead. Would she allow the past to overshadow her progress, or could she find a way to turn that revelation into something strength-building? The next chapter of her story was beginning. The message lit up the dark interior of her car like a flare in the night. Sarah. A name that carried so much weight, so many memories. Jenna's fingers trembled against the steering wheel as she processed the familiar name, a ghost from her past resurfacing at the worst possible time. "Why now?" she muttered, half hoping to hear an answer from the empty seat beside her. It felt ironic, the rain mirroring the turmoil stirring within. As Jenna drove, the windshield wipers slashed away the droplets, but nothing could wipe away the memories flooding back. Best friends turned enemies, laughter turned to silence, and promises that had faded like photographs left in the sun. Taking a deep breath, Jenna redirected her thoughts back to the diner, forcing her anxious heart to align with her purpose. This was not the time to retreat into the past. "Focus, Jenna," she whispered, her resolve tightening. She drove home, each mile a battle against the ghosts she had buried for years. Once parked, Jenna sat for a moment, the engine humming softly. The invitation blinked again on her phone, as if it were a heartbeat urging her to respond. With a huff of irritation, she shook her head, gripping the phone tighter. "You don't control me," she whispered defiantly and finally stepped outside. Inside her modest home, the weight of unease pressed on her. She moved through her evening routine, barely absorbing the actions she was taking, kitchen lights flickering like her thoughts. After tucking Lily into bed, Jenna lingered in the hallway, staring at the shimmering stars on the ceiling of her daughter's room. A soft smile tugged at her lips. Lily was innocent, oblivious to the shadows of the past. But was she really going to let Sarah's name haunt her? Was she willing to fight for the diner yet allow fear of an old friendship to silence her? With resolve, she pulled her laptop from an old bag and powered it on. Somewhere in the tangled thickets of her heart was a resolution waiting to bloom. Maybe Sarah's message could lead to something different this time. Healing, perhaps. Or closure. A new beginning rooted in old ties. Slowly, she began to type, fingers hesitant but growing stronger with each keystroke. "Hey, Sarah," the words began to flow, tentative but earnest. She recounted a memory of the good times, of laughter, and of dreams shared beneath the sprawling oak tree in their town square. Just as she was feeling lighter, a loud knock echoed through her quiet house. Startled, Jenna's heart raced again. Who could it be at this hour? She hesitated, glancing at the clock. Midnight. With cautious steps, she approached the door, a frown growing deeper with each footfall. Jenna peeked through the peephole, and the sight before her froze her in place. Tom, the retired mechanic, and Mrs. Thompson stood there, drenched and shivering but eyes sparkling with determination. They were here to help her, ready to support her with everything they had. She swung the door wide, a mixture of gratitude and surprise bubbling within her. "What are you two doing here?" Tom shrugged, his playful grin making her chest warm. "We want to help." "You shouldn't have to do this alone, Jenna." Tears stung the corners of her eyes, and suddenly she felt the weight of loneliness lift ever so slightly. "Together, we can save it," Mrs. Thompson declared, her voice rich with conviction. Jenna nodded, her breath catching as the community she had always dreamed of began to take shape. But in that moment, as resolve surged through her, the phone buzzed again. Curiosity flickered once more, and Jenna's heart nodded. What did Sarah really want? Would reopening that chapter in her life help her move forward, or would it drag her back into the still waters of heartache? Everything hung in the balance. The door swung open wider, letting in the chilly night air and the warmth of a shared goal. Steam from Julia's coffee cup danced between them, punctuating the silence that settled after Mrs. Thompson's bold declaration. Jenna's heart swelled, the weight of isolation crumbling as she felt the strength of their presence. "Thank you," she managed to say, her voice a shaky whisper, her emotions colliding. "But the diner, it's a lot." "We know," Tom replied, his eyes bright despite the rain-soaked clothes. "But we've all seen what you've been trying to do. We believe in it. You need that place, Jenna." "We all do." Jenna quickly wiped the stray tear that slipped down her cheek. She had fought against the doubts spiraling within her. Was she truly worthy of their help? Was she the person they saw? The community champion? "Let us breathe together for a moment," Mrs. Thompson suggested, an air of calm radiating from her. "This fight is not just yours." Jenna closed her eyes, grounding herself in their support. The smell of coffee, the sound of the rain on the roof, all of it grounded her, and slowly, the heaviness began to lift. The diner represented more than just a business. It was a symbol of community, of shared laughter, and of reconnections yet to be forged. As they settled at the kitchen table, Jenna drew her laptop closer, the screen still shining with Sarah's unfinished message. The room buzzed with excited energy and determination as Tom leaned forward, his passion palpable. "What if we brainstorm?" he suggested, glancing around the table. "We could start by reaching out to other locals who might want to pitch in." Jenna's heart raced as ideas began to swirl, competing for her attention. Could this really be happening? The thought of neighbors rallying together filled her with a warmth she hadn't expected. "Let us make a list of everyone we can contact," Mrs. Thompson chimed in, grabbing a notepad. "Our town may surprise you. You've got connections, Jenna. People who care." With each name written down, Jenna felt a rising tide of hope. Sarah's message remained like a spark in her mind as she moved from brainstorming to planning. But she hadn't forgotten the invitation lurking on her phone. Before we dive in too deep," Jenna paused, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. "I need to address something lingering. Sarah reached out to me." The table fell silent. Tom exchanged a glance with Mrs. Thompson as if the implications of that name hung heavily in the air. "Sarah?" Tom asked. "The one who?" Yes, Jenna affirmed, biting her lip. But it's complicated. Her return could change everything, and not just for me. What do you want? Mrs. Thompson asked gently, leaning in, her gaze unwavering. The question wrapped around Jenna's heart, scraping her raw. What did she want? Did she want to revisit the pain of their friendship, or was she looking for closure? I want to know what happened, Jenna finally admitted, her voice breaking slightly. But I'm also scared it will just open old wounds. Maybe it's time to find out if healing is possible, Tom added wisely. Sometimes facing that pain is the only way to move forward. Jenna nodded, breathing deeply again. The potential of Sarah's return didn't have to mean destruction, it could bring clarity, connections. Yet, as the plan to reach out to the townsfolk took shape, another wave of uncertainty washed over her. Would she be able to truly face what Sarah had to say? What if the answers she craved turned out to be a pain wrapped in nostalgia? The clock ticked louder in the silence, amplifying her thoughts. Together, let us do this, Mrs. Thompson insisted, breaking the tense moment, determination etched into her expression. As they began to organize the outreach efforts, Jenna's mind drifted back to the phone buzzing impatiently on the counter. Sarah's name lit up once more, a reminder of the bridge she had to decide whether to cross. And as a new mission took shape, both personal and communal, Jenna didn't realize it yet, but she was standing on the edge of something bigger than her. Could she really handle everything that was about to unfold? With her heart racing, she finally unlocked her phone. As the screen lit up, she hesitated, her fingers trembling above the keys. What would she say? What would she ask? In that moment of uncertainty, Jenna understood, everything was about to shift once again, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to embrace it. Jenna stared at the glowing screen, her anxiety thick in the air. Sarah's name seemed like an anchor, pulling her back to memories she had tried so hard to forget. She took a deep breath, the warmth of the coffee still lingering as comforting armor. What if she reached out and uncovered a path to healing? Or what if it all just reopened old scars? Just one message, she whispered to herself, her pulse quickening. With her heart pounding in her ears, she typed, "Hey Sarah. I got your message. Can we talk?" She hit send before her doubts could catch up with her. A knot tightened in her stomach as she waited. Each second felt like an eternity, and the silence in the kitchen stretched thin. Tom and Mrs. Thompson chatted softly about potential plans for the diner, their voices a distant hum. Jenna bit her lip, her gaze fixated on the screen. Then, like a bolt of lightning, the phone buzzed. It felt louder than thunder in the quiet room. With shaky hands, she opened the message. Of course. I'd really like that. How about tomorrow? Tomorrow. The word hit her like a punch, filling her with both dread and hope. She could picture it now, the weight of their unresolved history hanging in the air, much like the steam from Julia's cup. Would Sarah even want to clear the air? Did she feel guilt over the past as Jenna did? What's happening? Tom's voice broke through her thoughts as he noticed her face go pale. Sarah wants to talk tomorrow, Jenna replied, her breath hitching. What if it's a mistake? Mrs. Thompson stepped closer, her motherly instinct kicking in. It's only a mistake if you don't face it head on. You have the strength for this, Jenna. Trust yourself. Jenna looked down at her laptop, where the list of names they had started was growing. Perhaps, in exploring her own past, she could also uncover the missing pieces of the community, her community. Maybe I should tell her about what we're doing with the diner. Invite her to help. It might ease the pressure. Tom nodded. That sounds like a good move. It shows her that you're moving forward, finding the happiness you deserve. Yet a flicker of fear crept back in. Would Sarah even want to be part of that world after everything? The thought sent a chill down her spine. Okay, Jenna finally said, her voice stronger than before. I'll do it. I'll reach out not just about the past but about the future too. With renewed determination, Jenna added a second message. By the way, I'm working on the diner revival with some friends. Would love your support. As Jenna sent that off, she felt a rush of adrenaline. Someone else's fate was suddenly intertwined with hers, a thread in the tapestry that was forming. But then came the thought that soured the moment: what if Sarah reacted negatively? What if it all fell apart again? The response came quickly, and as she read Sarah's confirmation, a wave of warmth flooded through her. "I'd love to help. Let us catch up and figure this out." A smile broke through Jenna's tension. Perhaps there was hope that they could rebuild. "Tomorrow will bring new beginnings," she whispered to herself. She glanced at Tom and Mrs. Thompson, who were ready to tackle the day's plans with smiles, their energy infectious. As they brainstormed future ideas for the diner, Jenna's mind wandered. The storm outside continued to rage, yet inside, a different kind of storm was brewing, one of new relationships and possible reconciliations. But even as the mixture of excitement and anxiety surged, one thought pierced through all the chaos. What if, amidst all this change, she lost herself in trying to reconnect? With those words echoing in her mind, Jenna realized she was standing at the precipice of both her past and future. How much was she willing to uncover, and would it be worth it in the end? The clock ticked ominously, and tomorrow felt closer than ever. The morning light filtered through the kitchen window, casting a warm glow that felt almost surreal. Jenna's heart raced in anticipation. Today held the weight of everything she had been avoiding, yet here she was, stepping toward it willingly. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, and she felt a strange mix of calm and chaos swirling within her. As she prepared a simple breakfast, the familiar sense of coffee and toasted bread calmed her nerves. The warmth enveloped her like a hug, a brief moment of comfort before the storm. With every crack of the eggs and the sizzle of bacon, she let her mind race through the possibilities of the day ahead. "How are you feeling?" Tom asked, watching her closely from the small table where he sat flipping through some notes. "Like I'm about to jump off a diving board," Jenna admitted, laughing humorlessly. Excited but terrified at the same time. Mrs. Thompson joined them, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. "That's perfectly normal, sweetheart. Just remember, no matter what happens, you're stronger than you think. You've already taken the first step. The rest will follow." Jenna nodded, her stomach tightening at the thought of seeing Sarah. It had been years since they'd last spoken, each moment weighed down by unspoken words and unresolved feelings. As the minutes crawled toward their meeting time, she glanced at her phone, reminding herself of the message Sarah had sent. The eagerness in Sarah's words had lit a flicker of hope inside her, one she desperately wanted to nurture. Finally, the clock struck 1. Jenna wiped her hands on a towel, steadying herself. "Okay, I can do this," she whispered, taking a deep breath as she stepped outside. The air was cool against her skin, and she could almost feel the weight of the world lifted from her shoulders with every step. When she arrived at the cafe that served as their meeting spot, she pushed through the door, greeted by the gentle aroma of freshly baked pastries and the low hum of conversation. Her eyes scanned the room, landing on Sarah sitting by the window, looking just as nervous as Jenna felt. The sight of her triggered a wave of emotions: nostalgia, regret, and a spark of curiosity about how much they had both changed. "Hey," Jenna said softly as she approached, her voice just above a whisper. "Hey," Sarah replied, her smile tentative yet genuine. It was a start, and Jenna felt a rush of relief. They hovered in awkward silence for a moment, each searching for words that felt loaded with history. Jenna took a seat across from Sarah, her brain buzzing with all that had been left unsaid. The past loomed large between them, but Jenna was determined it wouldn't overshadow the possibilities that lay ahead. "I can't believe we're doing this," Jenna finally said, trying to make the moment less daunting. "It's been so long." "I know," Sarah replied, her gaze steadying as she met Jenna's eyes. "I wish I could have reached out sooner. I've thought about you a lot." "Me too," Jenna admitted, feeling that familiar knot in her throat. "There's so much I want to say about us, about everything." Just then, a waitress arrived with a steaming cup of coffee for each of them, the aroma wafting with an invitation to pause. Jenna felt the warmth of the mug seep through her hands, grounding her in the moment. "Let us take it slow," Sarah suggested, her voice softer now. "Maybe we can start with the diner project you mentioned?" Jenna's heart lifted. The excitement of the revival project felt like a thread pulling them back together. "I'd love that. It's like a fresh start for both of us." But as they began sharing ideas and laughter, Jenna's fears still lingered. Would this lead them down a path of reconciliation or deeper hurt? She felt a stir of hope, but uncertainty brushed against her joy. Could they truly find a way to navigate the past while building a future side by side? Just then, as she was about to voice her feelings, the phone buzzed on the table. Jenna froze, dread trickling into her heart. Would it bring news of danger, or could it signify an opportunity she hadn't seen coming? Her hands trembled as she reached for it, and in that moment, she realized she was on the edge of something crucial. Would she dare to answer it? Jenna's heart pounded as she picked up her phone, the screen lighting up with a name that sent a jolt through her. It was Robert, her brother. The last time they spoke was during a family quarrel that left scars. She hesitated, overwhelmed by memories that swirled like a storm within her. "Jenna? You should get that," Sarah nudged gently, her voice breaking through the noise in Jenna's mind. Taking a deep breath, Jenna glanced at Sarah, who looked both anxious and encouraging. With a quick nod, Jenna swiped the screen to answer. "Hey, Robert." "Jenna. I didn't think you'd pick up," he stammered, the hesitation evident in his tone. "Can we talk? I need to explain something." "Now?" The word slipped out before she could stop it, tinged with both surprise and wariness. "If you're free. It's important." Her stomach twisted at the unfamiliar weight of his sincerity. Conversations like this were often laced with defensiveness, and she couldn't help but wonder if this would lead to yet another argument. "Sure," she replied cautiously, her voice shaking slightly. "Where? How about the old diner? You know, the one we used to go to as kids. I'll meet you there in half an hour." Jenna felt her pulse quicken, the suggestion dredging up bittersweet memories of simpler times. Those fleeting moments reminded her of a connection buried under years of silence. It stirred a glimmer of curiosity, but a knot of anxiety tightened her throat. "Okay. I'll see you there," she said, trying to keep her tone steady as she ended the call. "What was that about?" Sarah asked, concern knitting her brow. "Robert wants to talk," at the diner, Jenna admitted, feeling the warmth of the cafe shift into an icy reality. "Jenna, are you okay?" Sarah's eyes locked onto hers, searching. "You don't have to go if it's too much." "No, I need to," Jenna replied firmly, her new resolve surprising even herself. "I can't keep avoiding him." "Then go," Sarah encouraged, her voice a mix of support and understanding. "Just remember that you're not alone. You have me." Jenna smiled weakly, her emotions tangled but grateful for Sarah's gentle presence. "Thank you. I appreciate it." As she stood up, Jenna felt a wave of doubt crash over her once more. What if this conversation only hurt her further? What if they couldn't find the common ground she yearned for? "Whatever happens, you've got this. Just be honest," Sarah said softly as Jenna turned to leave. Her words wrapped around Jenna like a lifeline, igniting a flicker of determination to break the cycle of silence. Outside, the air was sharper than she remembered. Each step toward the diner felt like a leap into the unknown. Memories of Robert, their childhood laughter, and shared dreams filled her mind. But there were shadows too: arguments, misunderstandings, and the space that had grown between them. Arriving at the diner, Jenna took a deep breath before pushing her way inside. The familiar jingle of bells above the door sounded different today. The place had seen better days, but somehow, it felt welcoming. She found a booth in the back, her heart racing as she waited. Minutes dragged, each tick of the clock amplifying her nerves. Would he come? Would he understand? Finally, she spotted Robert walking in, looking older yet just as uncertain as she felt. Their eyes met, an electric moment that felt heavy with everything unsaid. As he approached, Jenna braced herself. "Hey," he said softly, taking a seat opposite her, a hint of vulnerability in his voice. Hey, Jenna replied, her breath hitching. There was so much to say, and yet silence flooded the space between them. Could this conversation be the one that tilted everything back in the right direction, or would it shatter whatever fragile piece they had left? This is going to be hard, isn't it? Robert finally said, his expression mirroring her own. As Jenna prepared to answer, the weight of their past loomed large, but maybe, just maybe, this was the moment everything would change. Would they find the courage to step forward together or remain trapped by the pain of their shared history? Jenna beckoned in her mind, convinced there's something crucial lurking just behind their defenses. A piece of her heart whispered, what if healing could begin right now? Jenna's breath caught in her throat as she looked into Robert's eyes. They seemed filled with the same storm of emotions she felt. There was fear, a hint of regret, and something that felt like hope, the faintest flicker urging her to take the leap. Yeah, I guess it is, Jenna finally managed to reply. Her fingers nervously traced the edge of the table, the wood worn smooth from years of patrons sharing meals and stories, much like they had once done. Sorry for just dropping this on you. Robert rubbed the back of his neck, a gesture that reminded her of when they were kids trying to avoid trouble, like the time they snuck out to the creek without telling their parents. I just thought it was time. We need to talk about everything. Everything? The word felt heavy, an anchor pulling her down into the depths of old hurts and unspoken words. Yeah, you know what happened last year, what happened to us, he said, his voice wavering slightly. I know I messed up. Do you really? Jenna's tone was sharp, the sting of his past actions flooding back arguments that spiraled out of control, the moments when he chose others over family. You just want to talk about it now? I do, he replied earnestly, leaning closer, as if proximity might somehow bridge the distance that stretched like a chasm between them. I've thought about it a lot. I was too caught up in my own world to see how much I was hurting you. Jenna felt anger swirl within her, a familiar discomfort. And that makes it okay? I never said it was okay. I'd go back and change things if I could, Jenna, Robert's voice cracked. I'm trying to own up to my mistakes. Can't we at least try to talk? Silence settled over them like a thick fog. Jenna considered his words. Could she really unravel everything they had built up over the years in this tiny diner? Fine, she said, her voice steadying. But if we're going to do this, we need to be honest. No more half-truths. No more excuses. Agreed, Robert nodded, his expression shifting from apprehension to resolution. I'm ready to listen. Jenna's heart raced. It was time to peel back the layers. You know, when Dad got sick, everything changed. You pulled away, and I struggled with it. I thought we'd always lean on each other, but you weren't there. I know, he said, looking down, shame making his face pale. I regret that every day. I thought I was doing the right thing, trying to get myself together. I was wrong. As Jenna heard his words, vulnerability crept into her own heart. She had always admired Robert's strength, the one he carried as if it were a shield. But in this moment, it was as if he was laying that shield down at her feet, exposing his own wounds. Look, I felt lost too, Jenna admitted, her voice softer now. All those times I needed you, it felt like you just vanished. And it broke something in me. Robert looked up, his expression now a mix of remorse and understanding. I didn't realize how much I hurt you, Jenna. I was so busy running away that I didn't see you needed me to stay. Tears pricked at the corners of Jenna's eyes as their shared pain hung between them. She fought to keep from breaking down, feeling a whirlwind of sadness and longing. Was it possible they could rebuild? Maybe we can find a way to be family again, she said, the words spilling from her heart. That's all I want, Robert replied, deeply earnest. I miss us, Jenna. The laughter, the unity. Jenna felt walls she had constructed over the years tremble, like leaves rustling in a gentle breeze. The flicker of hope within her grew, but uncertainty lingered too. Just tell me one thing, she said hesitantly. Will you really put in the effort to change? Because I can't go through that pain again. Absolutely, Robert vowed, his blue eyes fierce with determination. I never want to hurt you again. I'll prove it. As they began to delve deeper, an unexpected bond began to weave itself between them, an intricate tapestry of shared regrets and budding hope. In that crowded diner, time seemed to slow, the world outside fading away as they stepped back in each other's lives. But just then, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, snapping their focus. A waitress rushed by, clearly flustered and apologizing. Jenna couldn't help but feel the intensity in the air shift. Her heart raced again, but this time with a mix of determination and trepidation. What if we're not ready for this, Robert? She whispered, her mind racing. Did they dare to open this door? Would it lead to healing or another explosion? In that moment, the answer felt just a heartbeat away. Would they embrace the new chapter together, or would they fall back into the silence of old scars? Jenna's fingers curled tightly around her mug, the ceramic warm against her palms. She could hear the clatter of dishes in the background and the hum of conversations, but her world had narrowed down to this moment with Robert. The fear of diving deep into their past clashed with that glimmer of hope she'd been holding on to. Maybe we should pause, Robert suggested, noticing her apprehension. The concern in his eyes felt like a lifeline, extending towards her even as doubts swirled in her mind. What do you mean? Jenna replied, her brow furrowing. I mean, he hesitated, searching for words. We're both so raw right now. Maybe if we take a moment, breathe, consider what this all means. It won't feel so overwhelming. Do you think backing away will help? She bit her lip, frustration mixing with her desire to protect herself. No, but I want to be sure we're both ready, Robert said, his voice steady. I don't want to rush into things only to stumble over ourselves again. He had a point. The truth held the potential to either heal them or shatter what little they had left. Jenna glanced out of the diner's window, watching the cars pass by under a sky dimmed by a late afternoon sun. It felt like a world moving on, and there they were wanting to rebuild something that had been broken for too long. Okay, a pause, she agreed reluctantly. But we can't leave things unsaid, Robert. I need you to promise not to evade this conversation, not anymore. I promise, he said earnestly. And I'll take it as slow as you need. Silence curled around them, broken only by the faint laughter of a child from a nearby table. It reminded Jenna of simpler times, when their biggest worry was not getting caught climbing trees or making secret adventures in their backyard. Do you remember the treehouse? She asked, her voice softening. A smile broke through Robert's tension, a fleeting moment of innocence shining in his blue eyes. How could I forget? You were so determined to climb up despite being terrified of heights. I thought I'd have to fish you out of it, but then you surprised me. You made it to the top. Yeah, and I was so proud, Jenna chuckled, warmth spreading through her chest. It felt like I could conquer anything then. Maybe that's what we need to do now, he said thoughtfully. Face more than just our fears, the things that set us apart. I want to climb to the top again, Jenna. Together. Her heart ached with the longing to believe him, yet the reality of their past loomed large. What if we can't? She whispered, a knot tightening in her throat. I believe we can, Robert said eagerly. But we have to face it all. It won't be easy. And it'll hurt. Like ripping off a bandage, Jenna added, fidgeting with the edge of her napkin. Exactly, he nodded. But that doesn't mean it isn't worth it. Every relationship has its scars, Jenna. It's what we do with them that counts. The strength in his words gave Jenna a surge of courage. Perhaps it was time. Time to turn wounds into lessons, from pain into growth. It wouldn't be easy, but for the first time in a long while, hope flickered brighter. All right then, Jenna replied, a shaky breath escaping her as she steeled herself. Let us dive in, step by step. But I need to start with you. What exactly made you pull away last year? Robert grimaced, shifting in his seat. I was ashamed. I thought distancing myself would help, like that would ease the burden of helplessness I felt as everything crumbled. Why not just talk to me? I was afraid, Jenna. Afraid of failing you. His confession stung, the mixture of regret and sorrow in those words striking her heart. Here he sat, the boy who had once held her hand when they wandered in the woods, now standing before her as a man wrought with guilt. Let us not let fear decide our fate anymore, Jenna said softly. But just as resolve began to settle in the air between them, the diner's door swung open with a loud jingle. An unexpected figure stepped inside, catching both their attention, a woman with striking red hair, eyes flaring with determination. Jenna's heart raced. She knew her. Robert. The woman called out, striding toward them. A wave of panic washed over Jenna as she struggled to comprehend what this meant for their fragile moment. What is she doing here? Robert muttered, fear creeping back into his eyes, pulling the threads of hope they had started to weave away. A harsh reality hung heavy in the air. Was the past truly gone, or was this just another wave crashing against their attempt to rebuild? Jenna swallowed hard, trying to brace herself for whatever would come next. The woman's eyes locked onto Jenna, filled with a resolve that screamed confrontation. You must be Jenna, she said, a hint of disdain lacing her voice. I've heard so much about you. Who are you? Jenna shot back, every instinct flaring protectively around her. I'm Clara, Robert's fiancée. The word hung between them like an icicle, sharp and dangerous. Jenna's heart sank. Fiancé? Just when she was standing at the edge of healing, the universe tossed another challenge in her way. How could this be happening now? Robert looked between them, his face twisted with conflict. Clara, this isn't the right time, he began, but she pressed forward, undeterred. I have every right to be here, especially if you're here reopening old wounds, Clara snapped. Clara, please. Robert pleaded. Jenna felt her chest constrict, emotions swirling like a tempest inside. She had just begun to understand the cracks in her relationship with Robert, and now they felt freshly exposed, as if Clara was swinging a hammer against the very foundation they had started to build. I didn't know you two were in contact, Clara continued, her voice sharp. And I certainly didn't know you were meeting like this. Clara, we were just talking about what happened between us, Robert said gently, his tone almost desperate. It's hard for both of us, and I'm trying to fix things. Fix things? Clara echoed. By seeking her out? You don't get to choose when you want to talk to your sister and when to forget she even exists. Jenna swallowed hard, guilt creeping into the cracks of her resolve. I'm not trying to take him away from you, she managed to say, trying to radiate calm among the chaos. We're just trying to understand what happened. Clara's expression shifted, emotion momentarily softening her features. You may be trying, but I've invested everything in this relationship. I want to let you pull him back to all your family baggage. Baggage? Robert snapped, his frustration mounting. This is family, not baggage. Jenna's my sister. She needs me, and I need her. I'm tired of pretending everything's fine. The diner felt electric, tension thick in the air, each word a potential spark igniting a wildfire of emotions. Jenna could see the hurt dancing in Robert's eyes and the fierce loyalty burning in Clara's. She felt squeezed between them, emotions flaring inside like fireworks. Maybe we all need to listen, Jenna interjected, raising her hands slightly in an attempt to mediate. It's complicated, and I get that we all come with our past. I'm messing it all up right now just trying to get to the truth. Clara regarded her carefully, her defensive posture softening ever so slightly. Truth? What truth are we looking for here? The truth of your pain, or Robert's inability to cope? We're looking for a way forward, Jenna replied with newfound determination. None of our history has to define us if we're willing to look back and grow. We all need to confront what happened, but squabbling won't help us move on. The mix of emotions hung thick as Robert's expression shifted, a flicker of hope igniting. He reached across the table and placed his hand over Jenna's. I'm here, he reassured, grounding her. Clara, I want to make this work, but it means facing our past. The tension in Clara's shoulders began to ease, her gaze moving between the siblings. Perhaps we can try to be heard? That's why I reached out to you today, Robert. To begin healing, we need to start somewhere, Jenna said, feeling the adrenaline of honest dialogue drive them. This is painful for all of us. It's okay to feel hurt, but we need to understand each other to help carry this weight. Robert nodded, his eyes reflecting a growing understanding. Clara hesitated, then slowly sat down, her fierce posture now loosening. Fine, I'll give you both an hour to speak. Then I want to know what this means for both of us. It was a fragile agreement, but the tension in the air began to shift. Jenna felt the urge to express herself as the connection between her and Robert began to weave again, slowly, cautiously. Thank you, Robert whispered. He turned back to Jenna, a glimmer of resolve shining in his eyes. Let us clarify what happened last year and begin healing, but let us do it together. Jenna swallowed hard, the knot in her throat loosening. Yes, together, she echoed, feeling her heart swell with hope. They had come from such brokenness that now, perhaps, they could steer towards brighter days. As the three of them sat in the diner, Jenna realized this was the turning point they needed to bravely face their shared history together. She could feel it, the air thick with determination and understanding, and in that small moment, she dared to believe that healing was within reach. Tomorrow might not be perfect, but today began opening the door to brighter possibilities, a place where love, acceptance, and familial bonds could flourish once more. In that diner, against the backdrop of steaming coffee and shared laughter, they began to rewrite their story, step by step, writing not just the pain, but the future they hoped to claim. And as their words flowed, Jenna was filled with an overwhelming sense of release. They were resetting the pieces of their connection, ready to craft something that had been lost for far too long, a family determined to face anything together. If you love this story and want to see more incredible transformations like these, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second. Be sure to leave a like to feed the algorithm and help more people discover this channel. We want to hear from you. Comment below with your feelings and thoughts about this ending, what touched your heart. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how powerful family and community can be when they come together. This is the moment to show your support for the channel and what we're building here. Let's keep this transformative journey alive.